next session is about sustainable livestock transformation. Sustainable livestock transformation for those who have your gadgets, but I think we're all going to speak English. Yes, okay. So I'm just going to remind you, generally this session focuses on exploring innovations and sustainable food system pathways to enhance the production of nutritious, safe, and accessible animal source foods while minimizing the environmental impact. In front of me on the stage is Dr. Babafemi Oyewole on the last. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Pan-African Farmers Organization. Karib Sana, as we say in Tanzania. Welcome. Thank you. The second one is a lady, Dr. Nyabeni Tipo, representative to Tanzania Food and Agriculture Organization from FAO. Karib Sana. And close to me is Dr. Anthony Whitbread, Director of the Sustainable Livestock System Program from ILRI. I'm lucky to have 3 doctors on the stage. Karibuni sana. Okay, so we'll start with Dr. Babafemi. Yeah, direct. We only have around 45 minutes. It might seem a lot of time, but actually it's never enough. So what is the role of smallholder farmers in driving sustainable livestock transformation in Africa? I think that's a major question, especially for smallholder farmers.
Thank you very much, moderator. First of all, I want to really appreciate the organizers for inviting me and my organization to share views with you. The Pan-African Farmers Organization is a member-based organization with 80 million members spread across 73 national platforms represented in 43 countries in Africa. So, and it's made up of smallholder farmers. And when we look at the livestock sector, why are we talking about transformation? We are talking about transformation because it's dominated by 60 to 80% of rural people in Africa rear livestock, poultry, pigs, and cow as a way of life, and also as a means of asset to generate income, and also to serve as a nutrition for the people. Again, livestock also affects the crops because they produce manure that can also increase the productivity of the crops. So we see that they are very important. And when we talk of the small-scale farmers, smallholder farmers, we see that they are the center of the production of livestock in Africa. And so if we are going to transform the sector, we must be able to capacitate them to be able to produce more. And also the constraints that they are facing, we must be able to develop policies, appropriate policies that will assist them to overcome those constraints so that they can be able to be more productive and more efficient in the livestock center. So that we see also that the quality of the livestock depends on the quality and health of the animals. And that means that we must be able to give them the right feed, to feed the animals so that they can produce high quality, nutritious meat, while at the same time also supporting the agriculture. So when we talk of sustainability of the livestock sector in Africa, the small older farmers who are 60 to 80% operators in the sector need the support that is necessary for them to be able to produce. Thank you.
Dr. Babafemi, how easy is it to support them? Because I'm sure, as you said, 80%?
Yes, 60 to 80%, yeah.
How easy is it to supput them?
Well,
or hard?
I think the minister is here. He knows what I'm saying. That first, the government needs to really support them with enabling policies that will make them to be able to to produce. Secondly, they need access to finance is one of the key issues that is also constraining their operations. So we need to facilitate access to finance to them so that they'll be able to produce more. So what we are doing is in PAFO, we are building their capacity to be able to, most of them are not well organized. So what we are doing is to organize them so that the policies and the opportunities that are available, particularly as we partner with the development partners like FAO, IFAD, we also help them to be able to develop their business, market their products, and generate more income for them to be able to be sustainable.
Thank you very much. I'll come back to you. I still have more questions. But let me go to Dr. Nyabeni. Dr. Nyabeni, how does FAO, you're from FAO, collaborate with the Tanzanian government and local organizations to encourage sustainable livestock practices?
Thank you, Zora, for the question. I just must start by saying that appreciating the organizers as well and the Honorable Minister for the fireside talk, which he gave us this morning. Our collaboration with the government of Tanzania is through a document we called Country Programming Framework. And this framework is aligned to the National Development Plan as well as the Zanzibar Development Plan. But overall, the document is also an extract of the so-called United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, which is encompassing all the UN agencies working under one umbrella in supporting the government of Tanzania. Going down to what FAO does, we have chosen three outcome areas from the Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, which is to do with people, prosperity, and planet. And in all these three outcome areas, livestock is central to that, because when you talk of people, you talk of nutrition, you talk of human capital, and we do a lot of trainings with the Ministry of Livestock. When you talk of prosperity, exactly it goes to what Doctor on my left here was talking about. For the livestock smallholders to prosper, you have to be able to address the key challenges in the sector. And as FAO, we look at the transformation of livestock in a way under those outcomes, considering key areas. Climate resilience is one thing that we have to ensure that when we work, we look at helping the government on maybe in the future getting climate resilient breeds, and that's the need, for the research institutions around us to help us so that we can partner with them. Land management, which we are doing in different areas, not necessarily with the Ministry of Livestock, but we do it with another ministry to ensure that pastoralists are having proper advice so that they know how to use the land that they have at their disposal. We also do a lot of work under livestock health and productivity. We have a big program funded by USAID, which is called Global Health Security Agenda. And under this program, we do a lot of capacity building to the Ministry of Livestock. We do capacity building to parapets and to the middle cadre to be able to trace, do surveillance, and also reporting of diseases. As you know, a lot of diseases also are connected to human and animals. So we have managed with other partners to work under the Prime Minister Office to support the One Health platform. And One Health platform is addressing issues of environment, human health, animal health, everything, the biodiversity as a whole is encompassed under One Health platform. And this to me is a success story because the Prime Minister Office is able to bring all the partners who are involved in the zoonotic diseases to talk together, to talk to each other, and to see what strategies they can have to support Tanzania. But under our program, apart from the training, we have also helped with something we call an event mobile application, where the extension workers or the animal health workers in the field are able to report diseases on a timely manner. Timeliness is key when it comes to disease reporting. So this mobile application is very useful for giving what's happening in the field to the center in the Ministry of Livestock, and they can act accordingly. If it is a notified wool disease, they are able to escalate it to OIE to be notified.
Can you kindly mute your phones, please? Kindly mute your mobile phones, thank you.
We work on the other projects, not necessarily with the Ministry of Livestock, but we believe that alternative livelihoods are very key, because we understand that apart from the climate variabilities, there are other things emergencies that can happen in the livestock sector, diseases, outbreaks. So you have to think of creating livelihood options for them. And we have done that with a facility we call farm forest facility, where we have pastoralists who are able to use other alternatives like mixing honey and garlic to do a paste and ginger, just some of the products that we have. They're actually being sold here on the ground, for them to know that if your livestock dies tomorrow, what is the next thing that you can do to earn you income for your family? So alternative livelihood is another option we have. But of course, as mentioned by my colleague here, policy and governance is very key. And we have worked with the government of Tanzania in revising supporting the revision of the National Livestock Policy of 2006. And I think it's now being tabled. And also there's a new livestock policy, which was done last year, 2022. We are working on human-wildlife conflict management to support the government in those two interface. And the list is long. I don't want to be listing them all. But also we believe in supporting the livestock sector in technology and innovation. And of course, not leaving behind the women. So gender dimension and inclusivity is one of our key areas. So in brief, I think I will talk later if other things come up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I'll come back to you and just thinking, although you've mentioned a number of success, but I guess other people still feel that there's so many documents, frameworks, policies, but it doesn't trickle down to the real farmers, the real people. So I think we can discuss a little bit about that. But before we go back to that, Dr. Anthony, in your experience, what are some of the key factors that influence the successful adoption of research-informed policies in the livestock sector, considering the question that I just popped up? Okay, we have research, we have policies, but does it really matter?
Thank you, Madam Zahura. Look, there's many key factors in how policies are adopted, and it very much depends on the context. When we're talking about a farming systems context, or we're scaling something like climate-smart agriculture, these are very knowledge-intensive processes. We need to build capacity in farmers. We need to bring the extension system along. When we're talking about technologies such as vaccines or an animal health regulation, it's again a different story. So I think there's kind of four elements of getting successful policy, at least from the research end. Firstly, a deep understanding of the farming system, understanding the socioeconomics of farmers, the risk. They face so many risks in rain-fed farming systems, particularly climate risk. We need to understand the impacts of the policy and the technology promotion on the socioeconomic aspects on the farm, how it affects gender, how it might affect their income, how it might affect labour distribution on the farm. So that's about a deep understanding of the agroecology of the farming system. The second element that leads towards successful policy uptake is a co-design process. And this is where you get a stakeholder engagement. You connect farmers, value chain players, the input suppliers, the knowledge and innovation system that's in the country to support a deep understanding of how policy might be scaled. And the third important element, I think Honourable Alega alluded to this, it's about aligning the priorities of the country and the funding of various government entities, Ministry of Livestock, Ministry of Agriculture, our departments of extension services, our research arm, often universities and higher education institutes. These all need to be aligned to the implementation of a policy, particularly a knowledge-intensive sort of policy like climate-smart agriculture and scaling. And the final area probably is around foresighting potential outcomes of a policy and the perverse impacts that policies may have on the environment. I lived in India for many years, and there were many perverse impacts of subsidies on the environment. For example, the government brought in subsidised electricity, irrigation equipment, subsidised fertiliser. It led to many productivity increases, but it also led to many, and it still is playing out, environmental challenges with groundwater overuse, fertiliser overuse. So these sorts of potentially detrimental aspects of policies need to also be understood in the implementation.
So, Dr. Whitbread, you do believe that the policies are important?
Yeah, of course. I do believe that policies are important, yes.
And they do trickle down to the normal farmers, livestock?
Well, there's many examples where they do, and there's many examples where policies sit and are not implemented. So it needs these sort of whole-of-system approaches to implementation.
Thank you very much. Let me go back to Dr. Oyewole. So talking about policy again, and financial mechanisms are needed to empower farmers. What policies are needed to empower farmers to adopt more resilient and sustainable practices?
Thank you very much for the question. Again, I come back to the issue of the government. We know when we talk of access to finance, we know the interest rates that is obtainable in our financial institutions in Africa. And if these smallholder farmers are going to produce with double-digit interest rates, we know that it will not be sustainable for them. So the policies of government to make sure that these farmers have access to finance is very important. Also, access to market is another area that the market is there. We have the population, we have everything, but how to access the market is the major challenge that the smallholder farmers are facing, because along the value chain, there are a lot of these brokers and middlemen that makes it very difficult for the smallholder farmers to really directly reach the market. So what we are doing is to aggregate them and link them directly to those who are going to buy their products. Also, the policies that also support bringing them together as cooperatives. Cooperatives are regulated in most African countries. So the policy surrounding cooperatives should be made more accommodating and more supportive to the smallholder farmers, so that they can organize themselves into cooperatives. So in our path, what we do is to ease their access to finance from the traditional financial institutions. We always link them, and that is, we organize them and bring financial institutions also to come and talk to them, because most of the time, the financial institutions, they don't even understand the value chain. They don't know that others. They are only looking at the risk of the value chain, with neglecting the opportunities that are there. So we bring the farmers together and the financial institutions, and they ask their questions, and they are able to, the financial institutions are able to understand the smallholder farmers. Another thing we do is also we develop their capacity to identify and come up with bankable projects. Actually, we have a strategic pillar in our strategic plan. We call it farming as a business. That is, livestock farming, whatever farming, you must see it as a business. You must approach it as a business. And it is when you have it in terms of record keeping, in terms of governance, in terms of the things that the financial institutions are looking for. We have to package the business, and so that they'll be able to, and we teach them entrepreneurial skills to be able to allow them to do that. Those are the things that we do, and the major thing that we do as PAFO is policy advocacy. So we are always advocating at the regional level with OAU and the international level with IFA organizations like FAO and IFAD. We always advocate because bringing to them the challenges of the farmers so that they will understand those challenges, and they will be able to address the challenges, because they are our members. So we need to really make sure that they are taken into consideration. Again, we are insisting that we must be always sitting at the table of policy formulation and policy design, so that we can be able to put across our own challenges, and we factor into the policies that government are implementing or designing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Babafemi. Just when you mentioned the access to market, which is very true, I guess, when we talk about young farmers, or even somebody like me who is not a farmer but I want to be, I think the first question is, where is my market? So how do you deal with that, especially for somebody who just wants to be a farmer or a livestock holder or something?
Well, where the market is very, because everybody consumes food. So we believe that the market is already there. But again, the access is, like I said, it's not that the market is not there, but to get to the market, we have middlemen, and at the end of the day, the farmers are not getting the right income that they should get for and with, again, technology is helping us these days, because we are training them to use technology to understand what are the dynamics of the market, what are the prices, what are the things that are in the market, so that can now link them to those people who are using their products to go directly instead of going through the middlemen. They can do that through technology. So that's one area that we are promoting, so to assist them to access the market. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Nyabenyi, I'm not sure whether this question should come to you, but maybe I should just give it a try. The capital for farmers or finance. Do you by any chance help them finance?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Definitely we don't. But I have my sister there, IFAD, who are the wing who does the finances at other banks. But we help them to do, to focus on what they want to do. We help them with technologies, and we help them with policy advocacy, as he said, and also policy formulation, especially the government. And if I may just say, just to contribute to your question on policy, I just want to share an example. When we helped the government in formulating the policy, it's a stakeholders consultation process. It's not a one-level exercise. It goes down to the ground, it goes down to the districts, and it brings about different stakeholders to agree and to give their contribution, and it has validation exercise to it before it goes back to the minister to be tabled. But at the end of the day, once it is passed, I think it's up to the duty bearers and to the right holders to see that it is disseminated and it has its own implementation plan. So I think this is just a small contribution to the policy aspect, but in terms of finances, it's not an FAO area of expertise.
Thank you. I'm kind of convinced now with the policies. So just one more question, Dr. Nyabenyi. Could you highlight a specific project in Tanzania that you're working on? I remember you mentioned something, but is there one that you can say, this is our focus?
I think most important one we are working on now is the global health security agenda, which is to deal with focusing on animal health, but specifically zoonotic diseases. And it has capacity building to it, where we have we take graduates with support from the Ministry of Livestock and Sequoia University. They go through a 3-month training. They go to the field, they practice. Some of them are graduates, are veterinarians, but they lack they lack the experience in the field. And after that, they are graduated. You know, they do theory, they do practical, and then they are graduated with support in partnership with the government, and they are sent back to their areas where they have been selected from. So this is to boost the presence of the cadre in the field, to be able to monitor, detect, report, and also act when there is an outbreak. So this is to me, it's a very successful story to tell, but we are supporting the vet labs, the central veterinary labs, with protocols, trainings as well, and also exposure through workshops within the region to learn experiences from other countries. The global health security agenda is very vast. It has different areas, but I mentioned earlier the One Health platform is under that, where we work with other partners and ensure that all the stakeholders who are involved in the zoonotic disease prevention and outbreak reporting are coming and talking to each other. I just want to maybe touch on what the Honorable Minister talked about earlier about traceability. And traceability is a very key area in the livestock sector, not only because of just following where the animal comes from, but it also goes down to where you can trace diseases. If you think of market, if you think of external market, if you want to talk about something like foot and mouth disease, and you want to export to the external market, and you have a traceability in place, if there's any detection of foot and mouth disease in the EU, they will be able to know exactly where it came from, and the country will be able to act accordingly. So thank you so much for mentioning that, and I hope Tanzania will be able to do it in a bigger scale. I know majority here are pastoralists who are also mobile, and to bring them under that system is a challenge for the government, and we are here to work together to see how it can be perfected. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nyabenyi. To Dr. Whitbread, policies. So how can we strengthen collaborations to ensure research findings inform policies?
Yeah, I think research is critical to successful policy implementation and design. Research is often a systems-based way of doing understanding of the system, so it sheds knowledge on these multi-dimensional issues. A great example is the land use challenges we have in Tanzania at the moment, where you have increasing conflicts between herders and farmers. These are complex system-based challenges that we need to understand the root causes and how you work together with communities to develop legislation, bylaws, and local government action. So research process is really important for this. It's, I think, 4 elements. I think I spoke a little bit about the first one before. It has to be rooted in the practicalities of the farm. So if we're trying to introduce natural resource management or a vaccine or animal health, we need to understand how it affects, how it is practical at the kind of farm level, so it gets to where we're trying to target the farmers. The impact, we have to understand the impacts, the cost-benefit analysis, and do research and on the research on the cost-benefit, the impact assessment. We have to consider at the beginning of a policy implementation how we're going to scale it. The scaling mechanisms are through the public sector, through the private sector, through a combination of both. For example, animal health, reproduction, AI in dairy systems is often through the private sector, whereas natural resource management issues around managing landscapes, managing erosion is often through government departments and government interventions, as well as these NGOs that are working in many areas of, say, Tanzania. And the fourth major area is communications, which you like. Communications and building a narrative around policy. So having communication strategies that are multi-scale, they influence multi-scale actors and the policymaker. And I think a powerful way of influencing policymakers is this seeing is believing. So taking policymakers to the field and showing them how certain interventions are playing out at the farm level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Policymakers, how easy is that to take them to the field? Sorry, Honorable Ulega, I'm just asking.
Well, we did set up we called it a learning site in the Dodoma region. We specifically set this up in Kongwa so that we can take policymakers from Dodoma, 1 hour away. And that's been relatively successful. We work with Tari and Taliria on this kind of program of combining community action with natural resource management. And hopefully our next phase goes much more into the livestock components as well. So we'll bring you as well.
I was just thinking about research. As far as I know, research is extremely expensive. So how do African countries deal with doing researches? Or do you guys help?
Well, yeah, ILRI, the International Livestock Research Institute, and our sister organisation, the CGIR, the total mandate of these institutions is to build capacity in the research system right across Africa and Asia and the developing world. And that's done in combination with government and their priorities, but it's done very collaboratively through co-designing research, attracting funding to the system, working together through shared visions, through joint efforts, through capacity management, capacity building. So that's our mandate, and we do that. ILRI does that in 15 or 16 countries in Africa and right across Asia as well. But unfortunately, research, it may be expensive, but it's very underfunded, and particularly the livestock sector of research, it's very, very underfunded, yeah.
Thank you very much. You mentioned something that I'll ask Dr. Babafemi this particular question. I think this is very important, the conflict between herders and farmers. And I know you deal with smallholder farmers. How do you deal with that? Because I think it's everywhere.
Thank you very much. It's been a real problem in recent times in Africa. What we are doing is trying to really mediate between the two sides and let them know the complementarities that exist between them. And in Burkina Faso, we are able to achieve some level of success. What we did is to bring them together and explain to them that, for instance, in Burkina Faso, we see that during the off-farm season, they lease their farms to the herders so that they go there and they graze, and also they use their dungs as manure for the farm. So that lessens the conflict between the two sides. But again, we are also advocating for policies that instead of leaving the animals to be roaming about and destroying farms, that there should be policies that should encourage modern way of animal husbandry.
But Dr. Babafemi,
Yeah.
do you think herders really care about the policies?
No, they don't
All
care
they
about
think
policies.
about is their livestock. They want
Yeah.
them to
You are right.
feed, and that's it.
You are right. No, it's the education. That's what we are saying. It's like he said, communication. Like by the time we are educating them and give them the necessary support also, the government will have also help the herders to develop and finance the infrastructure that they need to be in to undertake the modern practices. So it's not easy. It's not easy, and that's why we are still having these conflicts in Africa, despite the policies that are there to encourage a private sector investment in the sector as well. But again, I believe that with the level of awareness, the level of education, those conflicts will soon be a thing of the past.
Hopefully, let's hope for the best. Dr. Nyabenyi, I know FAO is organizing the first global conference on sustainable livestock transformation. Why now?
Why now? Because it is needed. You know, we have been talking about food system transformation, and it's about time each subsector actually drills down to what can be done within that subsector. And livestock is a key contributor to the whole food system transformation agenda. And FAO has four areas of focus, which is better nutrition, better production, better nutrition, better environment, and a better life for all. And the Sustainable Livestock Transformation Agenda or conference is actually focusing on this, with the objectives actually addressing these four areas. And all the objectives, I'm sure, I don't want to be in detail, but the priority is actually looking at all this nutrition, production, environment, and the life of those who are keeping the livestock. So I think it's about time, it's high time that the transformation of livestock sector is addressed at the global level, and I think everybody's invited. If you don't know about it, it's at the end of this month in Rome.
Thank you very much. I just thought about something. I think I've seen somewhere that these days there's an artificial meat. You can make a meat out of a tissue or something. Would we really need the livestock where we're heading right now?
It's
just
artificial meat. I know there is meat from other sources, from plants, from soya, and from other sources, plant source meat. But from other tissues, maybe Iri can respond to that. But definitely, people are looking for alternative source of food. If you look at the data and the way livestock is being blamed for, contributing to greenhouse gases, I think it's about time people start thinking, what can we do apart from thinking of reducing methane emission from livestock? What else can be done actually to reduce totally the footprint of methane from livestock? So there are a lot of innovations out there. Anything can happen. People are thinking day in, day out, and they're bringing in ideas. It's just to be careful not to be looking at the risk as well. Today people are talking about AI, and there is a lot of discussion, what can it do to the humanity in the future? The same as now if we talk of meat from other sources, are we sure that in the next 50 years that meat will be good for us? So it's good to have those balanced ideas and also study them well before we introduce them to the world. But I believe...
yesterday I ate meat from soy, and it doesn't taste like meat in my mouth.
Trust me, doctor, I love meat, the real meat. I don't want that other meat. Okay, Dr. Whitbread, we're almost done. So what are some successful collaborations ILRA has with governments?
So many. There's so many success stories where we work together with government to implement successful projects. I'll give two examples from Tanzania. The livestock master plans, I think ILRI develops with the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries and the Ministry of Agriculture livestock master plans, and I think they are co-developed. There are a lot of stakeholder engagement. They're often funded by the World Bank through the government, and these develop the vision of livestock in the country. So that's a really successful model for ILRI and governments to work together. The second one is a really big issue in Tanzania, is this land use conflict again. ILRI's worked a lot with communities in the central part of Tanzania, Kiteto, they call it joint village land use planning. So they start to work with communities, understanding where herders and farmers and crop residues and fodder and all those aspects that cause conflict can be played out. And so through a participatory process, there's been some really great success that's being scaled in Tanzania through changes to legislation and bylaws. So that's, it also leads into sustainable rangeland management. We call it participatory rangeland management. So that's a very community-based implementation. From other countries, the index-based livestock insurance is another great example of success with government. Having an insurance program for pastoralists, not when their animals die, but when fodder gets below a certain threshold, there's a payout to pastoralists to adjust their production system to sell animals, possibly to move their animals to a different region. There's a lot of areas around digital agriculture that we're successful in. We're working with governments in 6 countries in Africa to build digital public infrastructure that supports the use of climate information in decision making and helps the private sector get access to this kind of critical information that helps them make business models. So I can continue talking for a bit longer if you want.
Oh, it's all right. We love success stories. So just to finalize, I think we have around 3 minutes. Dr. Babafemi, while Dr. Whitbread was talking, I don't know why I get other questions in my head. When you said pastoralists have insurance in India, do we have anything like that in Africa?
Insurance. Yeah, what we have, some insurance companies have started introducing, not only for pastoralists, also for agriculture, for smallholder farmers. Now we are having, the purpose is to de-risk the risk, perceived risk that these husbandries and the farmers are having. So we are promoting insurance for livestock, because we know it's a means of income for them, and if they are not insured, then we have climate changes, we have a lot of diseases that are also ravaging the animals and the crops, so they need the insurance as a buffer to be able to keep them in case there are problems.
There's a World Bank program called DRIVE. It's a $300 million US program in the Horn of Africa across Ethiopia, Somalia and Kenya. It's about bringing livestock insurance to pastoralists. I don't think there's examples in Tanzania as yet, but I think that's something we should be talking about here as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. In a minute there, I wanted at least the audience to ask questions, but I guess we've run out of time. So forgive me, but I did have that plan. Next time. Thank you very much. So we were with Dr. Babafemi Oyewole. Just to remind you, he's the Chief Executive Officer of Pan-African Farmers Organization. We also had Dr. Nyabenyi Tipo, representative to Tanzania Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, and also Dr. Anthony Whitbread, Director of the Sustainable Livestock System Program. Thank you very much. I think we all got something out of this. I really do appreciate it. Karibuni tena, karibuni Tanzania.